Welcome to Law Kanya. If you're visiting my channel for the first time, then don't forget to subscribe and also press the notification button. Let's get started. This video takes into account the important bills that were debated and passed by both the houses of Indian Parliament to become an act. A total of 41 bills have been passed in year 2020. Here I will be discussing the most important ones. The first is the Jammu and Kashmir Official Languages Bill 2020 by Ministry of Home Affairs. This bill declares Kashmiri, Dogri, Urdu, Hindi and English as the official language to be used for the official purposes of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. This bill also adds that the Business and Legislative Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir will be translated in these official languages. Also, English and Urdu would continue to be used for official purposes. The next is Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code of 2020 under the Ministry of Labour and Employment. Now, this code will apply to establishments employing at least 10 workers. Also, this would be applicable to all mines, dock and establishment carrying out dangerous or any life-threatening activity as notified by the central government. Certain provisions of the code relating to health and working conditions would apply to all employees. Another is the Direct Tax Vivad Se Vishwas Rules 2020 under the Ministry of Finance. This is introduced as a dispute resolution scheme which will be applicable to all the appeals and petitions filed by taxpayers or Income Tax Department which were pending till 31st January 2020 before any appellate forum. Here, taxpayer will be able to settle disputes and get complete waiver of interest and penalty as per the terms and conditions. Now, further is the Code on Social Security 2020. This code subsumes 8 existing central labor laws. These laws are Employees Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1952, Payment of Gratuity Act 1972, Employees Compensation Act 1923, Maternity Benefit Act 1961, Employees State Insurance Act 1948, Workers Cess Act 1996, Sign Workers Welfare Fund Act 1981, Building and Other Construction and Unorganized Workers Social Security Act 2008. This code consists of new rules for contribution to social security and payment of employee benefits, including retirement benefits. It consists of new rules for contribution to social security and payment of employee benefits, including retirement benefits. Now, further is the Foreign Contribution Regulation Amendment Bill of 2020 under the Ministry of Home Affairs. Under Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, certain persons are prohibited to accept any foreign contribution. Amendment to this bill adds public servant as defined under the Indian Penal Code to this list. Now, public servants won't be able to accept the foreign contributions. Also, public servant includes any person who is in service or pay of the government or remunerated by the government for the performance of any public duty. This bill also prohibits the transfer of foreign contribution to any other person. This bill adds that any person seeking prior permission, registration or renewal of registration must provide the Aadhaar number of all its office bearers, directors or key functionaries as an identification document. In case of foreigner, they must provide a copy of the passport or the Overseas Citizen of India card for identification. Now, this is very important one, the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Amendment Bill 2020 under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. The bill increases the time period within which abortion may be carried out. Currently, abortion requires the opinion of one doctor if it is done within 12 weeks of conception and 2 doctors if it is done between 12 to 20 weeks. Now, this bill will allow abortion to be done on the advice of one doctor up to 20 weeks, and 2 doctors in the case of certain categories of women between 20 and 24 weeks. This bill sets up state level medical boards to decide if a pregnancy may be terminated after 24 weeks in case of substantial fetal abnormalities. Now, this was carried out due to the Civil Ministry Aviation, the Aircraft Amendment Bill of 2020. This bill will provide statutory status to regulatory institutions like the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, DGCA, the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security, BCAS, and the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, AAIB. Now, DGCA will carry out oversight and regulatory functions with respect to matters under the bill. Also, BCAS carries out regulatory oversight functions related to civil aviation security. AAIB carries out investigation related to aircraft accident and incidences. The statutory status to these regulatory institutions would improve India's aviation safety rank as suggested by the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAIO. The bill also proposes to increase the fine amount for violations of rules from 10 lakh to 1 crore for aviation industry players. The act exempts aircrafts belonging to naval, military, or air forces of the Union. The next is due to coronavirus effect, the Epidemic Diseases Amendment Bill 2020 under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Now, this ordinance was passed during the House was not in session. So it's an ordinance which specifies that no person can commit or abet the commission of an act of violence against a healthcare service personnel or abet or cause damage or loss to any property during an epidemic. Contravention of this provision is punishable with imprisonment with 3 months and 5 years and a fine between 50,000 to 2 lakh rupees. This offence may be compoundable by the victim with the permission of the court. If an act of violence against a healthcare service personnel causes grievous harm, the person committing the offence will be punishable with imprisonment between 6 months and 7 years and a fine between 1 lakh rupees and 5 lakh rupees. These offences are cognizable and non-bailable. Moving further, we have the Farmers' Empowerment and the Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Bill. We all know how controversial this is. Now, the bill would be creating a framework for contract farming through an agreement between farmers and buyers prior to production or rearing of any farm produce. Also, a farming agreement could then be linked with the insurance or credit schemes by central or state government or any financial service provider to ensure risk mitigation and flow of credit to farmers. Now, the minimum period of an agreement would be 1 crop season or 1 production cycle of livestock. The responsibility to provide agricultural equipments to farmers would lie with buyer. Next Farm Bill is the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Bill of 2020. This bill aims at creating additional trading opportunities outside the Agricultural Produce Market Committee yards, which would help the farmers get better remunerative prices for their crops. The law would also allow intrastate and interstate trade to be carried beyond the physical premises of these committees and markets. It would give the farmers the freedom to sell or purchase farm products anywhere across the country. State government would not be able to levy any market fee, cess, tax on farmers or traders in outside the trade areas. Law would also provide for dispute resolution mechanism to the farmers. The third Farm Bill, which is very debatable, is the Essential Commodities Amendment Bill 2020. This bill allows central government to control the production and trade of various commodities. The law removes cereals, pulses, oilseeds, edible oil, onion and potatoes from the list of essential commodities. The law also allows for the regulation only in extraordinary circumstances of when extraordinary price rise, war or natural calamity situations. It is currently being linked to farmers' protest, as we all know. This bill also aims to remove the fear of private entrepreneurs and investors from regulating interference at every stage. It opens the door for them to invest in this sector. The next is the Central Sanskrit Universities Bill 2020. This bill seeks to convert the three deemed to be universities into central universities. These are the Rashtriya Sanskrit Sansthan of New Delhi, Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri Rashtriya Sanskrit Vidyapeeth of New Delhi, and Rashtriya Sanskrit Vidyapeeth of Tirupati. These universities would disseminate and advance knowledge from promotion of Sanskrit, make special provisions for integration of course in humanities, social science and train manpower for overall development and perseverance of Sanskrit and allied subjects. The next is the Companies Amendment Bill 2020. It basically makes three changes. The first is to remove penalty for certain offences. It removes imprisonment in certain offences and reduces the amount of fine payable in certain offences. The next is the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Second Amendment Bill of 2020. It has been amended to ensure that fresh insolvency proceedings will not be initiated for at least 6 months starting from March 25 amid COVID, as said by Nirmala Sitharaman, the Finance Minister. This code cannot be initiated for companies below 1 crore, so medium and small industries would not get affected. The next is the Banking Regulation Amendment Bill 2020. The first provision regarding this is the cooperative banks exempted from several provisions of Banking Regulation Act 1949 will now apply the provisions to them, making the regulation under the Act similar to that of commercial banks. Cooperative banks may also now raise equity or debt capital from public subject to prior approval of RBI. Also, RBI may prescribe conditions on and qualifications for the employment of chairman of cooperative banks. RBI may remove a chairman and appoint a suitable person. It may issue direction to reconstitute the board of directors in order to ensure a sufficient number of qualified members. So these are the other bills that have been debated in the parliament. I have provided the links where you can go and check out the other bills for more information. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. Also, I've made the Telegram group where we can continue the discussions and more relevant informations with you all. Share this with your friends and colleagues. Thank you. See you in the next video.